Nightingale, an American radio personality, writer, speaker, famed for his informal lectures on success in life, said this about life: learn to enjoy every minute of your life. Be happy now. Don't wait for something outside your life to make you happy in future. Think how really precious is the time you have to spend. Whether it's at work or with friends or family, every minute should be enjoyed and savored. My name is James Makamba. Welcome to Makamba Life. I've watched so many presenters botch the introduction of a VIP artist or guest, and I'm not going to do that. Welcome, Ruvheneko. I'll let you fully introduce yourself.
What if I botch it up myself?
Then, I'm not accountable.
Yeah, well,
yes.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Makamba.
Please introduce yourself.
I am Ruvheneko, and I am a Zimbabwean media personality. TV and radio are my world, and just recently become a full-on entrepreneur, having started my own venture, online TV as well. So this is very, very good to be here in the same spirit of what I spend my entire life around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So here's what I had written. Today I'm talking to broadcast journalist, radio and TV talk show host, master of ceremonies and a consultant. The guest in the hot seat is, of course, now you know, Ruvheneko Parirenyatwa. People say Parirenyatwa, it's Parirenyatwa. Nyatwa. You know, of course, what Nyatwa is. Yeah. Kanayari Jatonets.
I know.
The families of most public figures, either celebrities or those in political office, often face a lot of scrutiny. Tell me about your experience so far about this scrutiny. Your dad being in politics and you yourself now being a public figure.
Well, it's a lot. I think when we grew up, we didn't realize it. When you're young, you don't notice it. You just know that your dad is someone important because wherever you go, people are running around after him, and he's got, drivers and people that take care of things. And
bodyguards.
So, yeah, I mean, you grow up just looking at it like it's normal. When you grow up and it's normal to you, you don't realize it was so crazy until you're out of it and you've moved out of your parents' home and you now have perspective. That's when you're like, wow, no wonder people don't like the children of politicians and say that we grew up with silver spoons in our mouths, because when you are from the outside looking in, it looks like another world. It looks like something out of a movie.
Yes. And you yourself now being your own, personality.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask myself, what have I done to myself? Because you can't do anything. You can't sneeze. You can't write a full stop on Twitter without it being scrutinized. But you know what? I enjoy what I do, and my mandate is bigger than being a public figure. My mandate is that I'm a journalist, so my passion for unearthing stories and talking to people and interviewing people supersedes anything.
So in Zimbabwe, we had the Zobros, the Nkomos, in America you have the Bushes, the Kennedy, and the Clintons. Okay, so it's a dynasty of of politics and politicians. Your granddad is the great doctor, the late Dr Parirenyatwa, right? Who was vice president of ZAPU.
Correct.
And then your own dad, your father, is a politician, currently serving as a Minister of Health. Okay. Do you see yourself following that path?
Not yet.
But
you can't mix journalism and politics. I'm sure you know that there's some journalists that you grew up with that are your time when you were in Zimbabwe who have now taken a political path, and you have to choose one, because there's no way you can be seen as a credible journalist when you sort of are campaigning for one party. So I think I'm not at all at the stage in my life where I'm ready to relinquish my journalistic career for anything. So it's too soon to say.
Do you admire politics?
No, I don't. I've seen too much. I know too much. And I think I admire the strength that politicians have to be able to do what they do. I admire most the good guys who have to be part of such a dirty game, because they are good guys in there. And it's unfortunate, you get painted with one brush. So that's what I admire. Their strength of character more than anything.
Is it really a dirty game, or it's you have some dirty players in it?
But once you're playing with dirty players, you're dirty.
Really?
Yeah, you are. You get dirty. You know what I mean? How do you roll around in the mud with pigs and not get dirty?
Oh.
You know? I'm not calling our politicians pigs or any politicians pigs. I'm just giving a metaphor, okay, an example.
I wonder how Donald Trump would react to this. Technology is changing how broadcasting is done.
Yeah.
You recently left a job with a traditional FM radio station, moved to web-based talk show using power of social media.
Right.
What inspired this move?
My inspiration came from wanting to have something different. I was in a place where I think I had done my time in terms of, 5-year sort of stints, especially in media. You've got to keep evolving. So it was more so that I wanted something completely different, something that gave Ruvheneko the opportunity to be Ruvheneko. And so starting the online show where it's my show and my direction and my interviews and my, thoughts was scary, but it's definitely given me more life than I could have ever imagined.
So whose show was Ruvheneko on radio?
I mean, I was employed by my employer,
Mm-hmm.
so it was not my show. I mean, even the show now carries on, and the same time slot they still do. They've just gotten a new presenter. So something is not yours when it's not yours. You're an employee, and then you
I've never heard it put that way.
really, it's not yours.
Because you did it so well, and it was personality driven. Your great personality, it just appeared like you wrote it, you produced it, and it was totally
I was
yours.
very involved. It was mine, definitely. Even the name of the show, the very beginning of it was, mine, and I think they say, there's a quote I read, it's been going around a lot, I'd never heard it before, where they say, a salary is what they give you to bribe you so you forget your own dreams. Something like that.
Wow.
And
Awful.
so I thought to myself, okay, so I'm going to spend how much longer building someone else's empire, building someone else's dreams,
being bribed.
and being bribed. So, you step out. You have to step out.
We are not for bribery. Relatively new media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Facebook Live, etc.
Yeah.
And the proliferation of web series and podcasts, do you see them taking over traditional television and radio broadcasting?
Not immediately. I say this because the corporate world has not yet fully been sold about this new media. And it's also still very concentrated in a specific part of the globe, particularly the Americas. And we, especially in Africa, are struggling to keep up because you've got that issue of even connectivity, right? We might have over 200% mobile penetration in countries, but not necessarily internet access.
Yes.
So it's difficult to say that it's going to take over because we haven't even got affordable internet access here. We haven't even started. So I think we can't say take over yet, but I do imagine in the next 5 years there's going to be quite an equal playing field for both types of traditional as well as new media, but we're not there yet.
So would you say a lack of adequate structural support is the barrier? Are the barriers for
new media?
For new media, would you say that? Is there any regulation, required? Are there any regulatory authority? For instance, your show, did you just get up and get on the air?
Well, did you? You know what I mean? Who's regulating this? That's the thing with this new media. It's like a monster with 10 heads right now because it has the potential to take over the world. It really does. And like I said, in certain parts of the world, it's already happening. Most people don't watch traditional television. You look at how television itself is evolving, with Netflix coming in, locally there's Kwese TV, all those things. And I think the barrier for me is more, like I said, the access, but also it is, now we know that your mobile phone, right, is your first screen of choice these days. So it's also a very good thing on the other side, on the extreme end. But how many people are going to have that smartphone, especially in an African context, to be able to enjoy a program on their phone? How much you have to pay for a good phone to enjoy that? That's you and me, but not everybody.
I guess as time goes on, the price of of your androids, will drop, and
I think
accessibility will be available to
and the
most
regulation,
people.
the regulation, funny story, you asked me, did you just wake up and decide something? Of course not. I was terrified because, you live in a society where you do have to be very careful what you do.
Yes.
And
what you say.
Yeah, any communication tool is definitely scrutinized to be like, who is this person communicating, who are they communicating with, and what are they communicating?
Yes.
So those of us that are online content creators, we've got a couple of groups that we have on WhatsApp where we are constantly sharing ideas, sharing thoughts. If we hear anything politically that might be threatening what we're trying to do, we share it, we discuss. And so far, I won't say we are regulated or, there's anything to be afraid of, but we don't know.
What would you say is your greatest life lesson so far for the young men and women who are watching out there and our viewers in general? We always want to learn from personalities that we interview.
Yeah.
What lesson can you leave today? What have you learned so far about life?
Yeah, you know what? The most important thing I think I've learned is find your passion. Because your passion is your calling, and your calling is why you were created. So if you're doing something for more than 5 years that is not your passion, it is therefore not your calling, and it's therefore not why you were created. So you're going to be doing something at half-mast, where you could have been doing something else at full-mast, and flying your flag high for other people to look up to and be like, wow, look at her go. So I think you have to find your passion because you're wasting time, and it's not easy. I might say that because I was lucky enough to find mine. A lot of people die without having ever known their purpose. So I think that's important. I think whether you're spiritual, whatever you do, meditate, pray, wombera, I don't know, whatever it is that you do, but find it and live it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Outside your mom and dad,
Yeah.
who inspires you? Who do you admire?
Oh, a lot of people. I'm one of those people.
Can you share a few with us?
Okay. Naturally, I admire Oprah Winfrey. I admire, Gracia Michelle. Because I've met her. I think I had a different perception of her before. I thought that she was a bit icy and scary, but when you meet her, she is so warm and so strong and just so wise.
Yes.
When somebody, so I'm now digressing.
So there's Oprah, there's Gracia Michelle.
Even Malala, Malala Yousafzai, she's like amazing at her age and just the boldness. I'm referencing a lot of women because that is where I draw my inspiration, because I feel like we don't have, especially in Africa, we don't celebrate the woman enough. It's a thing, it's a very, very serious thing. So, I could go on. Michelle Obama,
She is the granddaughter of the first medical practitioner, first doctor in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Then Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, and now Zimbabwe. Congratulations for making history.
No, he made history for us. He put our name on the map. We're just like tailing behind, and maybe I should have become a doctor and carried on the legacy, but my brother's a doctor as well. So
yes, your brother
I
is a
think
doctor.
the men are definitely carrying on that legacy in the family, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What does the family say to you? Do they see this as a continuation of this legacy? That you coming in from another angle? In perpetuating that legacy?
No, I'm not part of that legacy. What I'm doing might bring the name alive in a different avenue. The legacy, as I said, my big brother Tafuma, he is a doctor. My dad is a doctor. My grandfather was a doctor. So the men are definitely carrying on the legacy.
But keeping the name afloat?
Keeping the name afloat, and so we don't know what my brother's going to become. I mean, I don't know if he'll go into politics, but right now he's loving what he does, and again, it's passion. My dad, one thing I know is he's a doctor before he's a politician.
Yes.
He loves what he does.
I can vouch to that.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, it's,
yes.
The legacy is definitely there.
Okay. There must be something that you can say on your own show for reasons of courtesy and whatever. What is it that you would want to leave, our viewers?
I would say, one thing I can't say on my own show because it's my own show and it'll look like I'm using it as a platform to push my own agenda, but even the whole context of this conversation, right? We've spoken, but we've spent a lot of time talking about the family I come from, which I can't separate myself from, right? But one thing that Zimbabweans in particular have as a perception of me, and now all your viewers, because they've just met me and you've talked about my granddad, you talked about my dad.
Yes.
And yeah, there's obviously a perception that, okay,
thank you, James.
she's one of those
Thank
girls.
you, James. You've been fair with me.
Yeah, she's one of those girls that grew up with the silver spoon, all that stuff. And I think it's very unfair for people that grew up the way that I did and families that I grew up in where people honestly almost don't respect your hustle because they think, you know, she knows who she knows because of her dad's connections or all of that. But at the end of the day, you've got to nurture it. Yeah, let's say my dad introduces me to half his cabinet and a few big business people throughout my lifetime. But what value is that if you don't make value of it? At the end of the day, you've got to nurture those relationships and use what you've been given to make it even better. So I have something to pass on to my kids. So I think that's one thing I would always want to clear.
You said something about the hustle. What did you say about the hustle?
That they don't respect your hustle because they think that you don't need to hustle.
Respect your hustle.
Respect the hustle.
It's been great. It's been a pleasure having Ruvheneko. Ruvheneko, how did the name come about?
My father, it was his name. To be honest,
his name?
he told no.
So
as
it's
in
David.
No.
Sorry.
As in my father named me. I think he's just my dad.
Because there's always a story behind.
I couldn't tell you the story,
names.
to be honest. I know I just asked him. He was like, no, I didn't want to give you a common name because Ruvheneko can mean Rujeko. It can also be Chiedza.
On Makamba Life, respect the hustle.
Thank you.